What's up, Big 12 Nation? It is Tuesday night in America. That can mean only one thing. It's time for another edition of your favorite YouTube-centric Big 12 college football show. That's right. It is the one. It is the only. It is the biggest 12 with me, your host, Clint Foster, alongside my co-host, Brownie. Wherever you are, thank you so much for making us a part of your Tuesday night. For those of you who are fans of the TCU fans videos of the not so distant past, I am back in my garage. So we're going to see how well the signal holds up out here. I've got a Wi-Fi booster attached to the laptop. So if there's any graininess you're experiencing, any connection issues you're experiencing, please let me know in the chat. Otherwise, we'll say screw it. We'll go back to the couch inside. But I thought it might be nice to have a more interesting background, right? And lots of bobbleheads who agree with me exclusively. Okay, so before we get started with the show, you know I need something from you. I need you to subscribe to the show. There it is, at Big 12 BOCFD, right across the bottom of the screen. Subscribe, people. Let's make this an international movement, okay? Listen, we may be boycotting the UN, but let's replace it with a biggest 12 community, yeah? Let's do that. Also, subscribe to my personal YouTube channel at Clint Foster Creations. Do that. You'll see all the things that I've done and I'm working on. They're going to come out there soon. Check us out wherever you get your podcasts. Amazon, Apple, Spotify, all the places. We're there. You name it, we're there. Follow me on Twitter. It's at Clint_Foster55 behind that Big 12 logo right there. I promise you it's there. And, of course, follow Brownie at Cyclone Brownie, the very fun cartoon Brownie Iowa State fan that, we love so much. And make sure you're checking out voiceofcollegefootball.com and the Voice of College Football shop. All right, Brownie, how are you, my friend, on this Tuesday?
Honestly, not too shabby, except I misplaced something. I don't know where.
No.
Oh, well.
Is this a skit or is this okay?
Nope.
Like, oh yeah, it's this trophy. I don't know what you're gonna do.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's this trophy.
Yeah. Listen, hey, I'm excited to try that bomb pop eventually. I'm rocking a Hawaiian punch here. Barntown, we're accepting all sponsorship opportunities. If you'd like to throw in at the biggest 12, we will happily hawk your wares, as it were. Okay, so today we are talking best games in the Big 12 of 2025. We gave out our best awards, so you heard our best conference game. So, we kind of gave away the game a little bit on that one. But I have meticulously ranked my top 10 games of 2025, as I do every offseason. These will be great games for you to pull up on YouTube. And as you are oh so parched and desperately trying to make it through the football-less offseason, these are going to be great games to whet that appetite as we await August. But before we get into my list, Brownie, would you like to throw out any honorable mentions that I missed in my list, which you have seen?
Yeah. So, I think like some of the primary ones that I would like to have a shout out, obviously, Backyard Brawl.
Yep.
I honestly had Backyard Brawl as my number one. Just non-con and conference, like that was one of my absolute favorite ones to watch. It's one of my favorite ones to watch every year.
Sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of heated rivalries. Like you could say like the Red River Showdown, you could say TCU Baylor, you could say Iowa State, but like the absolute sheer hatred that happens during that West Virginia Pitt game, like genuinely feeds families.
Yeah.
And God, I really hope that if somehow the ACC dies, that we can get Pitt, because having that as a protected rivalry, like, and put it on frickin' rivalry week, you jerks, like, give it to me.
Yep.
Like, I think that one would be like arguably one of my favorites for rivalry week, obviously outside of like Farmageddon or something like that.
Yeah, that was a major oversight on my part. To exclude the Backyard Brawl. That was an overtime game this year. It totally slipped my mind. 31-24, I believe was the score.
West Virginia won in overtime. West Virginia also like murdered 3/4 of the roster to win that game, which was like, I mean, they gave everything to win that game full well knowing that they were going to get like dumped on the next couple of games until people came back from injuries. So that one was one of my favorites. I did have the Texas Bowl as like an honorable like 11th overall kind of game, like 11 to 15. Just because like Houston beating LSU, that's a pretty big one, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Came down to the wire, like Houston was able to hold off basically.
Yeah.
I thought that that one was a pretty good one. Otherwise, I think you and I almost had everything else line up except for maybe the Cincinnati Iowa State game. Like as much as it hurts me, like I think that was when we thought that Cincinnati could have been the real deal, and then
Mm-hmm.
somehow the wheels on the bus fell off.
Yeah.
It's like I
Yeah.
genuinely thought like after they beat us, like yeah, we were down to our walk on secondary, but like I genuinely thought that they were a contender for the Big 12 at that
Mm-hmm.
point. Like
Yeah.
I thought that they could have
Everybody did.
with BYU. Like
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like, oh man, these guys are going hard. That was after the Tech ASU, so like I was like, man, wide open.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Okay. Well, as you said, Backyard Brawl should be on the top 10, so I apologize profusely for that. Go ahead and assume that number 10 here is off the list, and that it will be replaced with a Backyard Brawl somewhere up top. But because I've gone ahead and made my list, my number 10 is Baylor outlasting Kansas State in a game of two teams on the struggle bus. Baylor won that game 35-34 there in the final minute, and I'll actually get we can't really show you highlights. I wish we could show you highlights,
Yeah, but nobody
but
wanted to
YouTube will
win that game.
demonetize this. So but yeah, here you can see how things went down. Baylor won it by a field goal, a 53-yard field goal with 31 seconds left. Prior to that, it was very back and forth. You had Kansas State take the early lead, Baylor storm back, then it's a tie game. Baylor's up, tie game again, Kansas State's up 31-17, and then Baylor comes charging back to make it 32-31. We got a Kansas State field goal with 1:48 left, and then Baylor ices it with 31 seconds. Back and forth battle down there in Waco. I thought was fully deserving of number 10 on my list, but screw him because I forgot about West Virginia. Thoughts on this game, Brownie?
Yeah, I mean that game, Kansas State, and you also have another game on there that we'll talk about for late game shenanigan BS that could have extremely altered like the Big 12 as a whole. But like when Kansas State was basically trying to, I mean, essentially set up for the field goal, like it didn't feel like that they were trying to go for the jugular. And when they kicked that field goal, I was like, that's way too much time. Like even Baylor, I mean, Baylor was on a hot streak at that point. Like
Yeah,
they were
you see, they
clicking.
were 4-2 after this game.
Yeah, and I was like, you really are going to give Sawyer Robertson like a minute left to go down and have like a game-winning drive? Like even if it ended up with a field goal, that is absolutely insane. And then when Baylor left 38 seconds on the clock, I was like, why? I was like, why would you even remotely give anybody a chance for 40 seconds to then win the game? Because like Iowa State has now won El Assico twice off of last second field goals when we only had like 30 seconds for a drive. Like I'm like 40 seconds is a lot. Like come on, people.
Yeah. Look at this win probability right here. You know it's a good game whenever the win probability goes bananas at the end of the game.
Yeah.
Just racketing back and forth betwing Baylor and Kansas State.
Also, Kansas State not being able to like close
whenever
that out
Kansas
was
State
insane.
goes up 34-32, Kansas State has an 84% chance of winning, and then Baylor marches down the field and they make it happen. So yeah, that's backyard brawl notwithstanding. Huh?
New honorable mention.
This is our new honorable mention is Baylor, Kansas State. Yes. So far be it from me to shout out Baylor for doing anything positive, but yeah, that's your honorable mention / number 10 on the list. Okay, so Number 9, coming in at number 9, we have the game that, dare I say, started it all as far as 2025 is concerned. An oh so sloppy and oh so Irish Farmageddon, which I should have said Farmageddon, but yeah, Farmageddon is my number 9. Uh, you know, calling this a good game in a lot of ways might be a little bit of a stretch. It was a sloppy game, but it was a very fun game to watch. Certainly, if you were anybody other than a Kansas State fan, it was a fun game to watch. Brownie, regale us with your memories of Farmageddon and why it belongs on this top 10.
I think it just had a little bit of everything, right? It's week 0. You have one less week of preparation. You're going overseas, so you might be dealing with some jet lag. You got some yips, and it's in a stadium that you're not used to. And the grass is a combination of natural and artificial.
Was it
So
really?
yeah. So Aer Lingus is actually one of the only stadiums I believe that they still do this, where it's like every couple of yards there's like either a strip of artificial or vice versa on it to like keep the natural grass like in place and not overgrown and all this other stuff. I don't know.
Hmm.
It was definitely though like a game where the first half was absolutely awful, right? Like we saw
So messy.
multiple fumbles, interceptions. Uh it seriously reminded me of like week 1 of like the AFL, like the American Football League. If you remember how like insanely bad it was watching that, like
Yeah.
that's what it reminded me of. But like I feel like it does still deserve to be on the top 10 because as ugly as it was, it just reminded us all of like why we love college football so much. Because there was just a bunch of asinine mistakes. It was raining nonstop. Like you
Yeah.
had to ground and pound on both sides, and like it just the ending was just like super confusing, and it ended with Avery Johnson's brother and dad in a fight. So I mean, if that's not a top fiver just because of that reason, like can't
Yeah.
help.
Yeah. And it was one too that like was very competitive for most of the game until Iowa State started to kind of take control in the second half. But I mean, you had 2 ties early on, 7-7, 14-14. Then Iowa State reels off two straight scores, 10 unanswered points, and Kansas State makes it more interesting there in the fourth quarter with that
Yeah.
Bradley interception.
We also
Or
have to
Bradley reception.
remember Carson Hansen was ruled down at the 1 yard line. Otherwise, Iowa State would have had 7 more points.
Yeah.
We took a knee
But
right at the 1.
I mean, it's classic week 1 entertainment in college football.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
You absolutely love it. It just reminds you of what you have missed.
Yes. Yeah. You're like, we're back. Yes, we are back.
And then later in the season, you're like, wow, that was a real dog water of a game.
Yeah. Yes, for sure. But I think it belongs in this. It's on my top 10.
It
Chat,
belongs on everybody's top 10.
Tell me if I'm wrong in the comments. Okay. So speaking of games in the rain, and this is one that I debated against adding, much of the viewing experience was completely miserable for me. But this year's rivalry in the rain at number 8, TCU triumphing over Baylor 42-36 in a game that featured 3 lightning delays and very nearly resulted in disaster for TCU after all of those delays. But it's one where TCU was really in control for almost the entirety of the game, but just a lot of that late game nonsense made things more interesting. Is it the best version of the rivalry? No, I can think of several more TCU Baylor games that were much better quality games. 2022 immediately comes to mind. 2015 comes to mind. Unfortunately, 2014 comes to mind. But this one, nonetheless, was a very memorable one, and it makes my top 10. Brownie, am I wrong to have it on here?
I mean, I was kind of toying with the idea. I think it would be like, I definitely believe that it is in the lower of the top 10. I had it just like outside of my radar. And the reason why I didn't really have it on my top 10 was just because of like all the rain delays and it basically taking like 50 hours.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
unless you are dedicated fan of one of these two fan bases, you probably just gave up after like the second delay,
Right.
and you were
Yeah.
just like, okay, it's bedtime. So
Yeah.
like, I definitely think at least from like the standpoint of, oh, if you were bored and you still wanted to watch something, like it gave you something to watch and it was a competitive game, especially after all the delays. And I'm pretty sure I even texted you during the game where I was like, does neither one of these teams want to win?
Yeah.
Because like I
Yeah.
felt like nobody wanted to win this game. And then Baylor was
Mhm.
like, fine, I guess we'll try.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you can see here, like, Baylor scored with 30 seconds left, and there was a very, very real possibility of them coming away and winning this game if it hadn't been for us for TC recovering an onside kick. Um, so it got really kind of spicy there at the end. But ultimately, frogs come out triumphant. You love to see it. You love to see it. I think it belonged. I didn't have any qualms at the end of the day about putting it in my top 8. Top 8, exactly. Okay, we're gonna keep with a rivalry flair here for number 7. This is if I just search that, and that's not. Boop. Okay, the Holy War rarely disappoints, right? And it did not disappoint this season one iota. Was it as thrilling as last year's? One could argue no, but it was still a very good game. And anytime you got color on color, that's going to be something fabulous that you want to see. So Holy War comes in at number 7. BYU survives for a second straight win, 24-21. This is again another one where BYU kind of had control of this one late. Utah scores a late touchdown to make it more interesting. There's an opportunity for them to try and get an onside kick with a minute and a half left, but BYU triumphs. What were your thoughts on the Holy War last year, Brownie?
Yeah, I think that this was kind of the, I guess, tall telling signs of how to beat BYU.
Yeah.
Utah also started to, they were passing, they were doing clock management. Like we know Utah's defense is a very good defense because Whittingham's teams are typically known more defensively than they are offensively. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty sure this game definitely helped Tech with game planning for BYU.
Sure.
Like I really think that it did because everything that, like, I felt like if you would have taken second half Utah versus second half BYU, this game would have probably gone into overtime and Utah probably would have gotten like, I don't necessarily want to call it like the upset, but I think Utah would have somehow pulled it out.
Yeah. I mean, it would have technically been an upset.
I mean, yeah, 23-15. I mean, not like a huge upset, but
Yeah.
definitely something.
Yeah. Yeah. But classic Holy War, hard hitting, right? Intense. And just look at that beautiful blue versus red. We really need to make like a national. I need an executive order, all right, that mandates that all rivalry games are color versus color, or at least one rivalry game for every team every year is color versus color. That's just too beautiful, especially when it's blue and red, right? And just
Right.
chef's kiss, absolute
I
chef's
think it
kiss.
would be fun.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. Okay, there. If you are a longtime subscriber of the Biggest 12, which you should be, and it's not too late to become one, subscribe right there. You will know that usually on this top 10 list, we have an appearance from the Houston Cougars, and this year is no exception. In fact, Houston appears on this list twice. And the first game that I'm going to talk about coming in at number 5. Oh, no, excuse me. I've skipped number 6. Whoops. Okay.
Hold up.
Number
Wait a
6.
minute.
Number,
Reverse
yeah.
it.
Yeah. Number 6. We're staying with BYU for number 6. It's the Pop-Tarts Bowl. The Pop-Tart Bowl is always going to be amazing. Always going to be fun to watch. And this year was no exception. I will say that my personal opinion was most of this game was not all that interesting until the fourth quarter rolled around. Then all of a sudden it got very, very fun. So Pop-Tart Bowl, let me get the score.
I'm not gonna lie. I only watched the highlights of the Pop Tart Bowl, and I'm pretty sure it only lasted 7 minutes, and all 7 minutes was like fourth quarter. So
yeah, that was the only time you needed to watch.
and then I watched like all of the ritual and Pop Tart sacrifice and all the theatrics because that was far more entertaining than the actual bowl game itself.
Obviously. Yeah, we had a beefed up strawberry with protein Pop-Tart this year. That was exciting. Okay, Pop-Tart Bowl. Here we are. Putting it on the screen for us. So BYU won 25-21. You can see here just looking at the box score. Georgia Tech really had this one pretty firmly in hand for a lot of the game. After tying it up in the first quarter, they start to kind of take control here a little bit more. It's up 21-10. And then you're starting to think, oh no, BYU is going to get embarrassed in the Pop-Tart Bowl. And like, what's that's going to say about the Big 12 on a national level? And then here come the Cougs storming back in the fourth quarter. They got and this is another thing. They're playing without LJ Martin, right?
Yeah.
In this game. So, but 2 late touchdowns makes it 25-21, the last one with 2 minutes left. Literally, Pop-Tart Bowl is always a good time. It is the best bowl game. And I will hear no arguments to the contrary.
Yeah, where else?
Yeah. Where else would you rather be?
It's the
Orlando,
People's
Florida
National Championship.
The People's National Championship, indeed. Okay, we are officially halfway through our list, and that means it's time to take a pause and hear about a voice of college football bets. Say it with me, everybody.
College football is even more exciting when you've got some action on the line, and the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the voice of college football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread, and I've got a 40-plus year track record. 11-0 in the college football playoff for me last year against the money line, 8-3 against the spread. And I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill of Wager Talk is our ace in the hole, show stopper. 7 years with the voice of college football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick. 28-12 against the spread the last 3 years. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Corey Bratta, Matt Zemek, and Steve Dace. Check out those numbers. Become a YouTube or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and then select the betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2025 a winner now.
All right, we are on to the top 5 games of 2025. I teased the Houston Cougars a minute ago, so you know that's where I'm going for number 5. Listen, they may like to pretend it's not a real rivalry, but dang it, it's a rivalry to me. The Space Bowl, UCF and Houston, clocks in at number 5, and it was a good one this year. UCF might have had a rough year. They're probably going to have a rough year again next year, but this was a fun game. Houston, in a back-and-forth game, comes back. This is one of 2 Houston comebacks we're going to talk about. They're down 10-0 early to UCF. They storm back to make it 14-10. Then back come the Knights. They're up 24-14. Houston storms back again to tie the ball game, 24-24 in the third quarter. Then here comes UCF. Then here comes Houston. Look at this. We're back and forth. We're ties. And then it all gets settled with 2.5 minutes left. A field goal from Ethan Sanchez to confirm once and for all, at least for another 365 days, that Houston is the real Space City. Brownie, did you watch this game? Do you have any memories of this game? What are your thoughts about the Space Bowl?
I watched bits and pieces of the game. What I found interesting, though, is that Houston had so many opportunities to score a touchdown, and they ended up kicking a lot of field goals in the red zone, which, like, obviously is irritating as a fan because you're not wanting to risk it to go for the biscuit. But, like, how impressive is it that the UCF kicker, after halftime, after you putting a walloping on Houston, he's got to go out and bank like a 53-yarder or something like that. Like, that's
Yeah.
absolutely insane. Granted, like now college kids are probably kicking from 60 yards out and some stuff like that. But
Yeah, in
like,
some cases, yeah.
I mean, you're talking like a 54
Yeah,
yarder.
54. There it
Otherwise,
is.
like all of Houston's are within like 30 yards.
Yeah.
So like it's just interesting. Oh, I guess that one's a 40 yarder. Well, look, I lied.
Yeah.
Uh but like it's just it amazes me that that is like how it played out was a game of field goals and like pick sixes.
Mhm. And UCF is wearing their space uniforms. I forgot that they wore their space uniforms. So they knew it was the Space Bowl. Don't get it.
They
twisted.
knew it was the Space Bowl.
They knew. Also, it's worth pointing out this game had 2 pick sixes, one for each side. You had Latravion McCutcheon's 45-yard interception return to make it 14-10 Houston. Then you also had a Philip Dunham 43-yard interception return to make it 24-14 UCF. So this game had a little bit of everything. Great Big 12 football, chef's kiss.
But Big 12 doesn't have defenses, remember?
Well, those people need to get their heads out of their butts. As Justin Fuente used to lovingly say at many a TCU practice, get your head out of your ass. Okay. So he said that a lot. He also at one point said, get the banana out of your ear. That's another fun memory in that. Okay.
Banana
anyway.
out of your ear.
Yeah.
Never heard that one before.
Yeah. I've never heard it before or since, but that is a Justin Fuenteism, at least when he was at TCU. Okay. So, man, this is just a very Cougar heavy top 10, really. It's actually hilarious how little Texas Tech appears on this list, considering the good season that they had and how frequently the 2 Cougar teams appear. So we're going back to the more Western Cougars for this one. This is actually the last BYU game we'll talk about, but their double overtime survival in Tucson, Arizona. BYU came very close to screwing the pooch and losing their, at the time, undefeated season and potentially trip to Arlington. But they survived against those Wildcats from the former Pac-12. And boy, howdy, it was a very good game. The only double overtime game in the Big 12. Yes, that is correct. The only double overtime game in the Big 12 last year. Brownie, let's talk about it.
Yeah, I definitely thought this was interesting because when you really look at it, like you would expect, obviously, Noah Fafita for probably passing like 50, 60 times this game. And I think what really kept Arizona in this one was the turnovers that BYU had. Because usually, like, at least this year, it felt like BYU only got into serious problems in games when they had like the turnover disadvantage. But like I never felt like BYU ever fully lost the game. I think it was just more of like Arizona was just clawing their way through it. Because I mean, again, yeah, Arizona was still 4-2, like still a good freaking team, right? Like it, and you look at the stats, and realistically, what it was third downs that made the huge difference. Like the third down conversion, 8 out of 16 for 4 or 17. And then, I mean, obviously you cross the line better, but I mean, fun game. I liked it.
Yeah.
I watched it.
24 unanswered points by Arizona to make it look like, oh God, this is where it's going to end for BYU. They're up 24-14 in the fourth quarter. And then BYU reels off 2 straight touchdowns, the last of which comes with 19 seconds left as Bear Bachmeier pounds his way into the end zone. And there you're set up for overtime. They trade field goals in the first overtime. Bear Bachmeier takes it himself again in the second overtime. And then Arizona falls short thanks to that staunch BYU defense. Hell of a game. Hell of a game. And when again, where it looked like it's a done deal for Arizona, right? 92.8%, 93%. With how much is this? 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter. And then back come the Cougs.
Yeah.
Heck of a game.
Insane.
Yes,
teams need to learn to finish out these games.
Well, yeah. Shoot, bro, you're talking to a TCU fan, you know?
Like just hit them in the jugular. Like, they're already down. Hit them in the jugular. Call it a day. Run up the score. Let's go.
Yes, indeed. Okay. Now, this next game, coincidentally, was one of two games in the same week that ended 27-24, in which the team that won had to come back to win the game. This is indeed the second time that the Houston Cougars appear on this list. And it was a game that I'd forgotten about until I started researching all this again. Houston rallying to beat Oregon State in overtime in Corvallis. Brownie, let's talk about it.
Dude, this game was kind of interesting to watch because, like, I felt like Houston should not have even remotely allowed Oregon State in this game. And I think the primary reason, if you stop right there, it's the penalties. They had 8 penalties for 60 yards. Like, that is literally a drive killer. And when Oregon State is only like 5 penalties for 25 yards or whatever, like, that kind of sucks. Yeah. And like, time of possession, Oregon State did what Oregon State you expect them to do, is they're going to run like a lot of that, like, run play right off of the play action. Oregon obviously not playing for anything at this point, right? Because, like, they were 0-4 going into the game, and Houston was 3-0. So I just find it interesting that Houston even remotely had to come back from this, and I think that shows like their resilience. And I guarantee you that there were some excessively critical words in that locker room at halftime.
Yeah. Yes, I'm sure. And hey, it ought to be shouted out that the way that Houston, so they're down 24-10 going in the fourth quarter, at the start of the fourth quarter. And then Houston, gets 2 touchdowns to send it to overtime. That second touchdown, a 50-yard touchdown
50-yarder
from Connor Wegman to Kazoil. Because the old, I don't know how to say that.
That was
you can see
an amazing
a 50-yard touchdown pass, right? Heck of a way to send it to overtime. And then Ethan Sanchez punches it in there between the uprights, 27-24. Fun game. And, at the time, we didn't know how good Houston was. So, Houston was 3-0 or whatever. But, I mean, hey, we really don't know.
I think a lot of us were...
hey, you're playing a...
Yeah, I think a lot of us were just chuckling because, like, an undefeated Big 12 team was on the ropes against a 0-win Pac-12 left deserted individual. Like, we all literally were like, okay, like, are they the real deal? And then, like, the next week when they lost to Texas Tech, and I was like, oh, well, they must just been inflated. But I mean, they proved me wrong.
I mean, but look at their first 3 games. I mean, granted, we didn't know just how bad Colorado was, but Stephen F. Austin Rice in Colorado, like, that's not an overwhelmingly impressive first 3.
Yeah.
So, to get the win in Corvallis, I still think is impressive, especially, considering what we knew about Houston.
Well, and beginning of the season too, right? You're not even in October by that point. You're still trying to find your offensive identity.
Yep, exactly. All right. Next game, our number 2 game of 2025. And this is one that we have already talked about once on this show, but Texas Tech getting upset by Arizona State. There it is. I was trying to get the banner to pull up. Texas Tech, the number 4 team in the country, falling at home to Arizona State, 26-22. Let me get it up on your screen for you. Here it is. Well, there it is. Okay, Brownie, let's talk about it.
Yeah, this game, I think, was definitely interesting because, again, I don't like. Yeah, Hammond played this game. Would Morton give you a different final result? I don't know. I think this was when, like, Tech was trying something different or being cheeky. And quite frankly, like, the Arizona State team, like I think this was was this the game when Sam Levitt went down with the injury, or was that after this game?
Oh, that's a good question.
Because I can't personally remember, but I did think that this one, like we thought that this was going to be the Big 12 championship game at the beginning of the season. So like I just felt like Arizona beating them after already losing to another Big 12 school, and like obviously Tech has already lost to Tech was undefeated. They were still trying to go through everything. And then them just putting up this big old they had a goose egg in the first quarter, and usually like Tech comes out steamrolling people right away. So I find it interesting that like they were backloaded with the 15 points. ASU just had to hold on to what they had in the first half.
Yeah. I'm having a hard time finding it doesn't look like this is the game that Sam Levitt got hurt. I'm having a hard time finding exactly what game that was.
Baylor.
There you go. Baylor.
September 20th.
Man, what a dumb game to get hurt against.
So would have been after this.
But you see, I mean, Texas Tech's defense, they were stiffening their necks early. Arizona State has to settle for field goals twice. Texas Tech comes back, makes it 7-6, then 7-9. So that's the third field goal they had to settle for. Then Sam Levitt finds Jordan Tyson 16-7. Things are looking rough. 19-7, another field goal. Then Will Hammond runs one in, 19-14. Tech scores again, 22-19, and then with 34 seconds left in the game, Raleek Brown punches it in from a yard out, 26-22. That ices the game, and Texas Tech has its first blemish on an otherwise flawless regular season, that is. Heck of a game.
It was fun to watch the end of that game because, like, you genuinely did not know if Arizona State was going to score that touchdown or not.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because, I mean, we always talked about how good, like, the Tech defense was. Like, you genuinely were like, oh, yeah, this is when Tech's defense, like, saves their ass. Nope, wrong. Wrong. Well, yeah, dish fish. Like, Tech's quarterbacks are bad.
And you know what? That would be... Yes, yeah, absolutely. They got exposed. You're so right, dish fish. That would be the game of the year were it not for one other game that is so very close to my heart. Does anybody remember the Alamo Bowl? Yeah. And I'm not talking about the 2016 one. I'm talking about the 2025 one, which is in so many ways a 2015 redux. TCU beats USC with its backup quarterback 30-27 in overtime, and on one of the craziest game-winning plays you will ever see. Jeremy Payne, I guess they're calling it not the Red River, the River Walk-Off is what the official TCU account has decided to dub it. Brownie, give us an unbiased take on this game before I just start gushing about Jeremy Payne and we watch that play.
I'm not gonna lie, I kind of liked the first half a little bit better than the second half. I think that it was a lot more back forth, give or take. The second half more seemed like both teams were trying to dictate the pace of the game, but they were both like poorly executing that. And then just the way that USC allowed TCU to come back with like, what was it, 5-6 seconds left for that field goal kick, and just to send it into overtime. And then USC's play calling in that overtime was just absolutely terrible. And I mean, I'm not gonna lie, like if you go back to like that first picture, like one more picture back from that one, for like the highlighted section, like you'll see number 17. Yeah. See number 17, like where he's like, oh no, that was literally me as Payne was like tiptoeing down the sideline. And I
Yeah,
think
we gotta
the
watch
one
it. We gotta watch it.
the one thing that everybody I think forgets is that one of Payne's teammates slowed him down because of the block and that break tackle, and then like propelled him forward. And that's kind of what started his little tiptoe thing.
Yep.
Because he was like, "Oh, where'd this momentum come
absolutely.
from?"
Okay.
I loved it. I loved
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
That was funny.
And yeah, Dishfish, you're absolutely right. Caleb Elamzor had a great game for TCU in that game. Caleb Elamzor had a great season for TCU. Let's be completely honest. But yeah, hopefully it's up on your screen right now. I'm trying to get it to share, and it's not listening to me.
It doesn't like you.
Is it up there? There it is. There it is. Okay. Yes, and Dishfish, I'm very excited that you were there at that Alamo Bowl. I did not make it down for this one. I had an I might have had an opportunity, but things got a little bit complicated that weekend.
Yep, right there. Number 0.
There it is.
Shoves them.
Yes, beautiful play, and definitely had me leaping out of my seat, to say the least. Jeremy Payne, you absolute gem. We got to watch this thing from the beginning. And also Ken Seals, like, literally could not be more happy for Ken Seals getting that win. Grew up a TCU fan, has an opportunity, to come to TCU. He's a career backup. And then here at his very last game, has an opportunity to put the team in a position to win. Hey, you got at a certain level, you got to ask yourself, was this the third time in 4 years that we started out the season with the wrong quarterback? I don't know. I don't think that we would have been any worse if Ken Seals had been our starting quarterback all year. But Alamo Bowl trophy, we love it. We're very happy about it. Thank you, Jeremy Payne.
Push his ass down the sideline.
Yes. And I will say, as long as we're talking about USC, we haven't talked about yet on the show Gary Patterson being the new defensive coordinator at USC. Listen, buddy, I am rooting for USC with bells on as long as they're not playing TCU. And they are going to be, you mark my freaking words, they are going to be a force to be reckoned with. Gary Patterson, not having to worry about NIL or any of the other BS that comes with modern college football, just coaching defense and scheming things up. They are about to be a problem for everybody in the nation. And it's going to be fun to watch. Yeah, you're right, Dishfish. Gary Patterson, USC defense would not have allowed that touchdown. So I'm very glad that we played them when we did. Right? I'm just glad that if Coach B wants to coach, he's not coaching at another school in Texas, because that I was not about. I was not about that life. Please go to LA. Go have fun far away. And what Coach
Go
B
have fun in the Big Ten.
Yes. He said to me, it's his last adventure, and it's going to be a phenomenal one. Well, that is our show, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for making us a part of your Tuesday night. Those ducks, we're going to start feeding those ducks here any minute now. Brownie, while we wait for the music to come on, remind the people where they can find you.
Yeah, at Cyclone Brownie on X, Blue Sky. Follow After Dark CFAD on X. Go ahead, join our Discord. We just added a channel for the Olympics coming up. So it's going to be fun.
Ooh. Dude, I love the Olympics. I'm more of a Summer Olympics guy, but my wife is a huge Winter Olympics gal. So we're going to be watching all that Olympic action. The ice dancing, the hockey, the luge, the curling. It's all fun. It's all a good time. Anytime you can root for America, right?
Dude, honestly though, like, curling is such a beers man sport. And like, I love watching it because you can put it on in the background, right? And just relax.
Yeah.
No adrenaline involved.
It's a good,
unlike
like
speed
golf.
skating.
Yeah. Yes, which is also very exciting. But yeah, curling is like golf. It's a great napping sport, right?
It's a very good napping sport.
Have on in the background. Yes. Okay, so please subscribe to the show tonight. We want to be here every week, don't you? Listen, you need something to do during the off season. Make us part of your Tuesday and subscribe at Big 12 Boys of College Football. We do this every Tuesday, okay? Lots of fun stuff. And it won't be long before we're starting team previews because there's entirely too many teams in this conference. So subscribe to the show. Subscribe to my personal YouTube channel at Clint Foster Creations and follow me on Twitter. You can't see it, but it's at Clint_Foster55 behind that big 12 right there. Check us out wherever you get your podcasts. Make us a part of your commute. And, listen to shows over and over again. Become a student of the game. Yeah, that's what I would highly recommend. And give us 5-star ratings and all of that good stuff. Check out thevoiceofcollegefootball.com. Lots of great discussion at a very wonderful store. And also follow The Voice of College Football wherever you follow things on social media, right? They're everywhere. We're everywhere. I'm part of it. We are. Okay, so until next week, I love you. I hope your team wins. And go Big 12. We'll see you around, folks.